the presentation by Piyal Bhattacharya ji is an audio record. He sent a recorded presentation due to low bandwidth as heavy rain at his area. So please, Koti ji, please play the audio.
Namaste. I am Piyal Bhattacharya. Sorry, actually from the morning due to heavy rain, and internet is very bad, and also the electricity is going and coming. So I'm not taking any risk. If during my lecture the electricity goes or something happens, I could be unable to present my paper. So that's why morning I spoke with the organizer, and they're really very thankful to the organizer. I am told me that you can re-record and send it to us, okay, and I can join for the question and answer session. If the internet is working properly and if the electricity is there, definitely I will try to join. And now thanks to the organizer to organize such a very important seminar on Hindu aesthetic. Thanks to Nagaraj ji, thanks to Dr. Padma Subramanian ji, thanks to R. Ganesh ji, and I'm going to read my paper. So my paper is very simple, it's not that something I am discovering new, because it's only, I'm revisiting, okay? It's not that I'm doing something very new. All our, the pre-acharyas, they mention everything, okay? Even Dr. Padma Subramanian ji, she is the first person who did extensive research full of life for the Natya Shastra. So my pranam to Dr. Padma Subramanian ji, and I will start my paper. So the title of my paper, An Analogy of Bharata System of Śarirabhinaya, exploring the metaphysics of inner and outer space and time. Introduction, and my paper is a little bit big, so I will edit, and within 15 minutes I will speak. The premise for Indian dramaturgy, the theoretics, is found within the multidisciplinary Shastric literature of Sanskrit tradition, of which Bharata Muni laid the fundamentals in his treatise Natya Shastra. In this extraordinary literary work, Sanskrit language forms the backbone that acts as a vessel carrying the universal truth. In the periphery of Indian art, Shastra is not just a record of few theories. It is a thorough documentation of a well-developed science of applied arts, and it is a pathway towards the revelation of Indian arts in its metaphysical form. Thus, Shastra is always found within the triad of Jnana, wisdom, Achara, practicing methodology, and Vichara, analysis. The tradition of Sanskrit was founded upon the precise algebraic combination and is considered to be the first mathematical language by modern scientists. As a result, Shastra is the science whose mathematical language is Sanskrit, and to understand this science, various theorems and principles are to be discerned to reach the conclusion. These theorems and principles are codes of Sanskrit language that requires precise explanation and interpretation from various angles of philosophy and existing living traditions for the young practitioners to understand the value, the basis of Indian interrelational aesthetic theories, science, and religious and philosophical practices. I'm not going to say the literature review, and also there is such gap. I'm going straight to the analysis of Bharata's speculative thought on Nritya first. In the 4th chapter, Bharata mentioned the sutra that Hastapada Samayoga Nrityasya Karanam Bhavet. So the above mentioned 30th verse of Bharata's Natya Shastra explain the Lakshana characteristic of Karana. Though the analogy consisting of anga, major limbs, upanga, minor limbs, pratyanga, subsidiary limbs, chari, exercise, and sthanaka, posture, or the basic stance. Thus, it is an augmentation of all the various physical features that create subtle movement and require a medium of human physicality in order to be executed. The human form is the space on which these movements find structure and shape. According to Kapilavatsayana, Indian dance takes the human figure as its basic instrument of expression and applies the same method of analysis and synthesis in its technique as is seen in other Indian arts. Even though Bharata Muni very straightforwardly gave few guidelines for the karana, he has limited his instruction to body parts and nirtamatrika. The seemingly simple and undecorated lakshana have few codes that are required to be unfolded to understand the innate nature of karana or how it is formed. So first, it is important to understand the guiding principle of nritta as postulated by the Bharatas before diving into in-depth and comparative analysis of the above principle. Bharata Muni provides detailed Shastric guidance and theories on performing arts, which embodies praxis, not just a theoretical assumption. Bharata referred Nritta as Tandava, a generic name for dance in aggregation. The fourth chapter of Natya Shastra is named as Tandava Lakshana Adhyaya, wherein dance, in general terminology, is identified as a non-dual element and that can be categorized in two different modes of expression based on application or prayoga. Sukumara prayoga, tender and graceful execution, and Uddhata prayoga, quote-unquote, vigorous execution. The following sloka from this chapter explain the theory on which dance is introduced as Tandava and a systematic approach that brings in differentiation in its application. According to Bharata, Rechaka Angaharascha Pindi Bandhas Tathaivacha Srishtva Bhagavata Dattas Tandave Munaye Tada Tenapihi Tataha Sammagana Bhandaswamannitaha Nitta Prayogaha Srishtoya Satandava iti Smrata. This sloka states that Rechaka, Angaharas and the Pindi Bandhas are created by Shiva and then given to the sage Tandu, who later systematized these movements into a dance system with guidelines and principle known as Tandava. The last line of the sloka carries the Karmadharaya Samasa with the compound Nitta Prayogaha that equates Nritta with Tandava. It is employed for the purpose of precision and embellishment in dramatic practice. It is actually a part of Kaishiki Vritti, a method of introducing Sringarasa in Natya. According to Bharata's system of dance, Tandava is the general category that can be manifested according to the sentiment bhava of Natya to generate specific emotion amongst the spectator for the purpose of rasanispatti, aesthetic delight. Thus, Bharata's system of dance is a tool to accurately manifest characteristic nuances in a dramatic practice. Bharata has only defined the fundamental principle of nritta that is manifested in the form of karana. But Abhinavagupta has provided specific properties on the basis of Bharata's guidance. In his commentary, he has explained the peculiarity of Bharata's nritta upon which karana is based. Tatra karananam angaharanam cha samanya lakshanam kartumahu hastapade ityadina kriya karanam kasya kriya nrityasya gatranam hastopalakshitasya vilasakshepasya heyopadeya vishaya kriyadibhyo vyatirikta yatat kriya karanamityartha. It is an activity, kriya, termed as karana, which is characterized by the presence of grace and playfulness in these articulated movements. Moreover, in a later text, Sudhakara of Simhabhupala, a commentary on Sangita Ratnakara, further defines this kriya as karanai nrityati tyuktam. Tatra kimidam karanam ittapekshayamaha syadi iti karapadade avayava samuhasya vilasena shobhaya atrudad rasa achchiddamana. Raso yasyam sa tatha vida kriya karanamityuchyate. It is conscious activity movement made by the graceful joining of various limbs. This continuous and unbroken movement facilitate the wholesome experience of rasa, vilasena, sobhaya, atrudadrasa, achidvana rasa, yasyamsa. This movement retained Natya Shastra principle of non-duality in Nritya. In other words, Bharata's Nritya, known as Tandava, is manifested in the form of karana, a particular form of articulated movement based on a physical space of a human figure, that is an action identified by grace, which is to be executed in a continuous and unbroken line of movement to reflect its non-dual characteristic. This is further employed as an instrument to add precision in Abhinaya, known as Śarirabhinaya, for Bharata's system of dramatic practices. So, Bharata's system of Nritya is an applicatory to enhance dramatic effects for a specific purpose. This helps to create a different body language for Natya. The purpose of Natya is very well explained by Kalidasa when he refers to it as Netra Yajna. In comparison to a Vedic Yajna, Netra Yajna is where the components, the causal nexus and the results are macroscopic or visible to a human eye. Now I will go to metaphysical aspects of karana as an applied system by Bharata, a tool for transcendence. To understand the founding philosophy for the system of Natya Shastric dance movement, it is imperative to go back to the sloka that defines karana. The term Nitramatrika holds deeper significance than just a term for various limbs, exercises and postures. Kapila Vatsya stated Indian dance, like Indian poetry, music and sculpture, seeks to communicate universal impersonal emotion, and through the very medium of human form, it transcends the physical plane in its technique. It employs the technique of all the Indian art, and it is impossible to comprehend the architectonic structure of this from without being aware of the complex technique of the other arts, which is constantly and faithfully employs and synthesizes. Therefore, Shastra expounds the cosmic truth, which is reflected in the Indian art form, its practice and system. It is important to grasp the theoretical background to realize the logic behind such a systematic practice. The word Nritya Matrika is a combination of Nritya and Matrika. Bharata used Nritya as a synonym of Nritya. Matrika can be found as an important concept of Indian system of philosophy across various texts. Matrika Tantra postulates the concept of Varnamala as Matrika. Abhinavagupta identifies this Varnamala in Paratringshika as Matrika, the seat of creation, the originating point of universal creation. Rudra Damarudbhava Sutravritti, composed by Nandikeshwara, further identifies the meaning of each Varna. The concept of Varna is equated with the concept of sound vibration. For instance, the use of mantra, reverberative chanting in adoration for a particular idol or energy comes under such category. The vibration released from such a mantra creates an image within the mind, which is turn helps in the conceptualization of a definite composite unit of a structure. This is because the mind is incapable to understanding anything which is no form or body. The universe or the cosmic elements all have their specific sound on which they vibrate. NASA has recently recorded the sound of sun, which vibrates at a specific frequency. This do not come as a surprise to the Indic study enthusiast, as vibration is considered to be all-pervasive and helps to provide specific characters to all matter of creation. Similarly, matrikas are elements or varna that collectively create a shabda. which vibrates the specific frequency to provide a tangible structure that is reflected in in the mirror of the mind. So the matrika comes together to form one karana that vibrates at a specific frequency to create a particular image. Nritta matrika is the term for various elements that are combined to form a karana. Hence, when these specific nritta matrika are joined mindfully to create a particular physical form that reverberates with a particularly unified physical energy within the performance space. A physical space is carved out to reflect a composite structure. Karana creates an image of a form that can be understood by the joining of various nitamatrikas within the anatomy of a physical structure. Based on the above reduction, the two metaphysical elements that form the foundation for the concept of karana are vibration and physical space. Vibration is a synonym of dhani that helps to create a language or a reverberative sound, which is released by the 108 karana as angadhvani. Now, interestingly, Abhinavagupta is a follower of Kashmir Shaivism, related the 36th Tattva of Shaivism to the 36th chapter of Natya Shastra. The prana, life force of the chapter, is denoted in accordance with the 36th Tattva, not in any particular chronological order, but on the basis of its meta meaning. Abhinavagupta refers Chari as Dhvani in the Mangalacharana of the 10th chapter, which is symbolic representation of Dhani Tattva theorem. In the other words, the concept of Shabda Tanmatra as decoded by the commentator himself. This opens a vast area of Indian philosophical thought process that eventually points to the direction of an inward journey through artistic pursuits and hence elevates it from a mere medium of entertainment. I will not, extend my lecture. It's little big. Okay, so I will go to the conclusion. First of all, Akasha is the space or the vacuum which is all pervasive and the germination ground for the creativity. The microcosmic reality of this aspect is the physical space or human figure which form the base on which creativity takes place. This concept can be related to the concept of a vacuum cavity of the heart known as Hridaya Guha. The same principle is applied in the construction of Garbhagriha of the temple architecture. Now, thus, the rhythmical being of the heart is considered to be the premise for Tala in Natya Shastra. Similarly, Vayu is the locomotive causality of Kriya that defines the characteristic of Karana as a movement. These macrocosmic Vayu from the microcosmic life breath of the physical plane. Any activity is time bound. The results is displacement in terms of the space. Shiva, Samira Murti is the codification of the fundamental value of Karana as a part of dance system that is employed to add qualitative value of transcendent in the dramatic practice of Bharata. This concept of macrocosmic space and time forms the prana, life breath of Śarirabhinaya in Natya Shastra. Indian arts not only hold the value of delight and entertainment, but it elevates both practitioners and the spectator from the physical plane to the subtle plane of consciousness. This reflects a journey from the outer sphere of the materialistic impulses to spiritual aspiration. Bharata's system of nritta, which is an instrument for Śarirabhinaya, did not just develop to be adopted as a part of dance movement, but as a methodology to perceive the ultimate truth, to understand the concept of time and space. Thank you. I took maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes more time. Sorry for this.
Thank you. Piyal Bhattacharya ji doesn't seem to have joined. He communicated to us that he is traveling to Delhi today for a Music and Dance Academy, Sangeet Natak Academy program. That was a wonderful presentation by Piyal Bhattacharya ji. Actually, it is really heartening to get his paper and the kind of analysis that he has done, especially in the context of a conversation I had with one of the local senior Natya gurus here in my city during conceptualizing this conference. That woman, guru, was telling me that there are tendencies now to secularize Natya Shastra ideas, because such people argue that it is after all hand gestures, it is after all feet movements, it is after all body postures uh, that can be used for communicating anything. So, how can you say that these ideas from Bharata are specifically Hindu in their approach? And then I was asking her if there is a scope to get a Hindu perspective, spiritual perspective of this from Abhinava Gupta's Abhinava Bharati, and she could contribute that. uh, she was responding in negative. She was saying that no, the contemporary researchers in dance would disagree, but Pialji has proved with all his analysis how the ideas of Karanas themselves have got an idea of spiritual expression in them,